Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Wednesday Night Mayhem live on YouTube and StreamYard.com. It is Michael Fletcher alongside Anthony Florio and Michael Bullock. And gentlemen, we're just going to dive right in. We're not going to waste any time. We're just going to jump off, and we're going to start it off, guys, with AEW Dynamite. Live from the Daily's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. We started with a six-man tag team match, as it was. Oh, well, actually, this was the big one. This was the 10-man tag. It was the entire inner circle, and they went up against Jurassic Express, which is Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, and Marco Stunt, and the best friends of Chuck Taylor and Trent. The winners of the bout in 12 minutes and 40 seconds was the face team, Jurassic Express, and the best friends wins it as Luchasaurus got the winning fall on Sammy Guevara. Alright. I hate to start it off with the night, but this was alright for me. This was a meh match. 2.5 stars is my rating for the fight. It was good in some points. It was good in some elements. But it wasn't like overly spectacular. It wasn't like the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it was a solid match, but it was just okay. I mean, if you're gonna say that, I don't think I'm gonna really nitpick here. I thought the match was good, but it could have gone longer. The body of work could have been a lot more better. To me, it was just okay. I'm not jumping for joy. I'm not saying, wow, this was amazing, this was awesome. No. It was okay. It was solid. It was a decent opener. But with the way AEW's been lately, okay to decent is not going to cut it. You got to step your game up, boys. That was a yawner of an opener. Sorry, Florio, go.
Slight disagreement here, MF. I didn't think it was as bad as you thought. It was a ton of fun with great energy throughout. Trent Beretta takes one of the best ass whippings in wrestling right now, and if you don't think that's an art, you ask my man Bret Hart, who was the king of it throughout his career. Luchasaurus looked great. Jericho and Cassidy continued their feud, and Matt Hardy reintroduced himself to the fray as he reignited his feud with Guevara. There were a ton of moving pieces in this one, but everything hit its mark, and a few stories were propelled forward, making this a great way to start the show. So I'm going to go a little higher than MF here. I'm going to give it about 3.25. I think that's the best rating I can give it. So I feel MF on some of it. The only thing I agree with MF on is it could have been longer, and it should have been longer, and I felt it could have been better. But, for what we got, I didn't think it was all that bad. So really nothing more to say here. Michael Bullock, your thoughts?
Yeah, and I'm actually going to go with Florio here. I mean, I'm going to give it 3.25. I mean, I don't think it was as bad as Fletch is making it out to be. I mean, I do agree with him that the match could have been longer, but yeah, I mean, you got some storyline progressions from this whole thing. I mean, the whole thing with Jericho and Orange Cassidy continues, and yeah, I mean, there's really nothing more to say. So I'm with Florio on this one, 3.25. Not as bad as Fletch is making it out to be, but it is what it is. So let's just move on.
Alright, and with that said, we move on to the next fight of the night, which was for the TNT title. Cody Rhodes going up against Warhorse. And when it was all said and done, Cody Rhodes wins the match in 10 minutes and 45 seconds. However, after the match was over, the Dark Order made a hit. They went after Cody Rhodes, and it was all of a sudden Matt Cardona, yes, Zack Ryder of WWE fame, Matt Cardona jumps into the fray, and boys, he is now all elite. Matt Cardona joins All Elite Wrestling, of course, with his running buddy Myers. He's also in All Elite now, so I mean, this is a big moment. Actually, no. Myers is actually in Impact Wrestling, so Matt Cardona makes his debut. This was long awaited. This was expected by many people after he got let go by WWE. A lot of people felt like he was gonna go to AEW. Well, the fruition comes true. Cardona does indeed join AEW. Anthony Florio, give me your thoughts on the match.
Great matchup here. Um, I'm giving this about 3.5 stars. This was a fantastic match. With the weight of the world on him to prove everyone on social media that spoke up and supported his quest to make it on the Dynamite right. Warhorse performed up to the moment. He turned in a valiant effort and even had Cody on the ropes more than once. In the end, it was the outcome we expected, but Warhorse undeniably earned himself some fans, including me, even in defeat. And in a display of heroics, he even initially sacrificed himself to save Cody from a beating at the hands of the Dark Order. Speaking of the Dark Order, unless the goal is to book Cody against Brody Lee, it sure was a random setup for Matt Cardona's debut. Still, it was great to see the artist formerly known as Zack Ryder enjoy the spotlight and explode onto the scene in a more meaningful angle than he has been a part of in years. So, everything about this was great. Justin Roberts, the intro when he introduced Warhorse, wow. Ho, ho, ho. You wonder why we love Justin Roberts so much. And the way he introduced Warhorse, I mean, that might have been his best intro ever. Well done, brother. Well done. That's all I can say on that. So, I thought for sure MF knew who this Warhorse was, considering MF is a big independent follower. And I'm very surprised that MF didn't know who this was. I thought for sure he would have. But, well, I think after the night, you know who he is now. I think we all know who he is now. So that's all there is to say on this. 3.5 stars. This was one of my fights of the night. There's nothing more to say. Michael Bullock from Justin Roberts' epic intro to Warhorse's gallant effort. Everything about this was great. And Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona, now in AEW. How do you follow that? Like the late Regis would always say.
Good way to plug it there, Florio. You do it better than anybody else. So, yeah, as far as this goes, I mean, yeah, this is why we love Justin Roberts. I mean, with the way he does intros, I mean, he's just awesome. So there's really nothing more to say. I'm going to give this 3.5 stars. I mean, I thought this was a good match here. I mean, Warhorse I thought looked really good, and yeah, and Cody continues his reign as TNT champion. Then he gets jumped by the Dark Order, and yeah, Matt Cardona. And like you said, it was only a matter of time before Matt Cardona, aka Zack Ryder, made his debut in All Elite Wrestling. Well, it happened tonight. So yeah, he helped out Cody. So yeah, I'm interested to see what things are in store for Matt Cardona, aka Zack Ryder, and hopefully, I really hope that they do bigger and better things for him in AEW than what they had for him in WWE. So there's really nothing more to say. Fletch, it's yours.
Agreed. Warhorse looked amazing tonight, even though this is my first time looking at him. Because, like I said, I know a lot of independent wrestling guys. This is the one of the few that fell through the cracks that I did not see. And, you know, but to see him first time out, to see him perform, dude, this guy's a gem. And this guy deserves the opportunity. He got what we were looking for, and he blew it out of the box. This was an amazing performance. This was one of the solid fights of the evening. You can even go as far as to call it three and a quarter. like 3.5 stars. I mean, this was an amazing match. He looked really good. Unfortunate loss for them, but it is what it is, and yeah, they did really well. So I mean, for Matt Cardona to jump in when he did was a pleasant surprise, but it was pretty cool too. So I really got nothing else to say. So we're just gonna move right along. And next up, guys, we had was for the AEW World Tag Team titles on the line, Evil Uno and Stu Grayson representing the Dark Order. They're going up against Kenny Omega and Adam Hangman Page, the winners of the bout in 13:35, and still the AEW World Tag Team Champions. It was the Hangman Adam Page and the cleaner Kenny Omega. Michael Bullock, it's yours, my friend.
Yeah, this was to me about maybe 3.25, 3.5 for me, and yeah, somehow, basically they got it done, and yeah, all heck breaks loose after this match, guys. I mean, yeah, the rest of the Dark Order coming out, and then of course you had and then you had everybody else coming out. I mean, from FTR to yeah. So yeah, this was basically a real crazy way to after this match. So Fletch, I mean, I guess we can say, I mean, the Hangman and Omega definitely got it done here tonight.
Big win for Omega and Hangman, but then again, we've been almost expecting the implosion or just them losing the belt at some point, and they have not. They're still running the division as the World Tag Team Champions. It gets to a point where you're thinking, oh my God, how much more better can they be? So, I mean, this was a great matchup. This was a great title fight, and they did it again. They continue to be the best in the world. So, I mean, there's really nothing more to add. This was another 3.5 star match. Anthony Florio, it's all yours, my friend.
I can make an argument that this was the fight of the night for me.
Agreed. No, this was fight of the night for me. Yeah. I'll give it fight of the night honors.
Agreed.
I'm going to give it 3.75 to 4 stars. I mean, this was arguably the best Stu Grayson and Evil Uno have looked in AEW. They were crisp, got to shine bright against the champions, and silenced a lot of doubters regarding their actual in-ring abilities. Hangman and Omega winning was the right call, especially if it further pushes Brody Lee into desperation mode. The Dark Order still didn't reign supreme tonight, though. A problem for a group we are supposed to believe is this hugely dangerous entity in AEW. Once they do pick up that defining win, they will be a force to be reckoned with. They do, after all, have a really solid core with Uno, Grayson, Jay, and Lee. Throw in associate Colt Cabana, and there is plenty to like about what Tony Khan and AEW management is putting together. Take off the training wheels and let them win a match, and their credibility would be enhanced exponentially. The subtle and not so subtle teases of renewed tension between Page and Omega were well done, and again, have us fans thinking a breakup is on the horizon. So that's really all there is to say on this. This was the fight of the night. I never thought I'd say that about a Dark Order match, but then again, look who they were in the ring with, for goodness sakes. The World Tag Team Champions, who can make any tag team, even a tag team of jokers off the street, look damn good. They would make any combination of us, whether it be me and MF or me and Bullock or MF and Bullock, they would make us look good, for goodness sakes. That's how damn good they are. So 3.75 to 4. This was without a doubt the fight of the night. Well done. Not overwhelming fight of the night, because there were some other good things on this show. So there's really nothing more for me to say on this. MF, we got a very interesting women's match here coming up. Diamante with an opportunity to follow up on her big win over your old friend Evilise.
Yeah, and she went up against the reigning, defending AEW Women's Champion of the World, Hikaru Shida. However, for Diamante, tonight was not the night for her. Shida successful wins the match in less than 5 minutes. All right, this was. I'm gonna say this: solid match, very good sprint. You know, 2.5 stars match. I'll give you that. But the one thing that also was emphasized, and I want you guys to talk about this too. AEW is about to pull a WWE. They're going to introduce women tag team titles for themselves. So, okay. We know Bayley and Sasha right now are ruling the WWE Women's Tag Team division. Who on earth is going to become the inaugural Women's Tag Champions in AEW? I don't know how many there are. I hope the teams are better, but I just don't know. I mean, Dr. Britt Baker's injured. You know, who is it gonna be right now? And believe it or not, as crazy as this sounds, and I really mean this, the only team that I could see who legitimately has a shot to win it all, and I know I'm gonna get a what on this, but I'm gonna say it: Brandy Rhodes and Allie, the Nightmare Sisters. I really think they could win this whole thing. As much as they don't get along, as much as I know they're whatever, but I think that would be quite an interesting development if they're the ones that wins this whole thing and becomes the inaugural women's tag champions. Anthony, the match was 2.5. The women's tag division's about to have their own tag team titles, but what says you?
Okay, let me get through the match real quick, and then I'll address the elephant in the room, which is the women's tag team cup. I don't believe that's tag team titles. I really don't. I think I saw a big trophy. I don't think it's for a tag team championship. I don't know.
So you're saying it's like a tag team tournament? Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I'll address it in a moment. But let me get into this first. I agree with your rating, 2 to 2.5 stars. This was by default the worst fight of the night. It was fine enough for what it was, but the result was never really in doubt, nor did it live up to some of Shida's excellent work this year. The strikes were great, but there was not much to the match beyond them. With no obvious future challenger on the horizon and the attention of the creative forces in regard to the women's division elsewhere at the moment, Shida feels like a champion without direction. Hopefully that changes soon, as she has been a vital part of the company's success in 2020. So that's all there is to say on that. 2 to 2.5 stars, that's the worst fight of the night. Now, as far as this AEW Women's Tag Team Cup tournament, the rules, well, here's the thing. During the show tonight, Tony Schiavone confirmed the tournament is set to start Monday evening on the AEW YouTube channel. And the rules of the deadly draw are as follows. The tournament is a random draw. All competitors must draw a color. Matching colors will become a team. Selections are final and cannot be appealed. Layman's terms, no excuses. You get who you get, whether you like it or not. This means the competitors will not know who their partners will be until the drawing. Therefore, the tournament will not include established teams. So your little scenario, MF, may not come to fruition. We may not necessarily see the Nightmare Sisters together. They could end up being with others.
I think there's a way around it. I think there's a way where you could have certain people go with certain things.
Very tough.
I mean I get where AEW's logic is coming from, the unpredictability, but there's a way around it. I'm not that stupid. Come on.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But MF, I mean, doesn't this have? You know what just came to my mind as I think about this?
This is Battle Bowl. This is Lethal Lottery. Absolutely.
Damn, you're good.
This is Battle Bowl.
You wonder why MF and I have been friends for 26 years. This is the reason why. He knows me like an open book, for God's sakes. I mean, he knows me. He knows exactly what I'm thinking.
Megan Silva says the same thing about me. She hates my guts when I do that to her too. So you're not the only one that says it, Florio.
No, but in my case, I love it. I love it. I mean, yes, this is like the Battle Bowl. I mean, Slamboree, 1996. I mean, the one where Diamond Dallas Page ultimately went on to win the Battle Bowl ring, as we all remember. And we had some very interesting pairings during that now, didn't we? So I got the feeling we're gonna see something like that again here. And speaking of former WWE talents, you know, like we saw Zack Ryder make his debut. Well, a former WWE diva made her first AEW on-screen appearance tonight. Cameron, or as she's now known as, her real name, Ariane Andrew, but we best know her as Cameron, as part of the Funkadactyls in the WWE. And from what I know, I don't know if this is official or not, but apparently she's going to be teaming up with the native beast, Nyla Rose. That could be the team to beat right there, because hello, it's Nyla Rose, for God's sakes. So Cameron, Ariane Andrew, is now all elite when it comes to the women's division. I am hopeful that in the several years that it's been since we've seen her, she hasn't been around in about 5 or 6 years or so. I hope and I pray to the Lord that her skills have gotten better, because, you know, when she was in WWE, she was green as grass. Oh my goodness. Oh Lord, she was not good. Not good at all. I hope and pray that all these years later that she's, you know, tried to get better, and if she does get better, then I'll take her seriously. But for right now, I still can't. But I want to see her in action, and I know soon enough we will. And if she has improved, then and only then will I take her seriously. But for right now, she's still a diva to me. So nothing more to say on that. 2 to 2.5 stars default worst fight of the night. So Michael Bullock, I'm sure you would agree with the rating and whatnot for the match, but what do you think about this women's tag team cup tournament? Do you think we could see like a Battle Bowl from the Slamboree 96 that MF and I just alluded to?
Yeah, well, first off, I mean, 2.5 stars for the match. Yeah, I mean, as far as this women's tag team cup going, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it is. I mean, and who are you going to have? I mean, I just don't see how Brandy Rhodes and Allie can get along if they want to win this. I mean, I just don't see it. I mean, that's why I gave the what to Fletch when he said it, because these two can't get along. I mean, if you put these two in the same room, I mean, they'll be bickering at each other for so long. So, yeah, I mean, I can't even think of a team that could win it, because, like Fletch also mentioned, you have Dr. Britt Baker, who is still injured, and who knows when she's going to be cleared to return. So, yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see. So there's really nothing more to say. Let's just move on, Fletch.
But what Anthony alludes to, and we need to talk about this, because this needs at least a little bit of addressing. When we talk about Lethal Lottery or Battle Bowl, this was a staple of WCW, especially in the early 90s. Back in the early 1990s, this was one of their biggest crowning achievements to have. Because it was a tag team tournament that actually started back in the NWA days. In like about 1988, 1989. Now this was before I got into wrestling. A little bit before I got into wrestling. And back then I never followed NWA. I never followed the early years of WCW. I started getting into WCW, I want to say about 1993. Right around 93 was when I started watching WCW. Because of the fact that back in the day, they used to be on the Turner Network. And that's where I saw all their programming. So any wrestling was through Turner Broadcasting. And that's when I was watching their wrestling back in the day. Just like everybody else was watching the wrestling back in the day when it was on ESPN. Remember the AWA? How they were wrestling on ESPN? And they had that weekly program? So we were watching wrestling there. But obviously, the one marquee event that they had was War Games, the Match Beyond, and Battle Bowl. And more importantly, the Lethal Lottery. If I remember, I think one of the years was actually a Starrcade that had Battle Bowl and the Lethal Lottery. That's where it first originated from Starrcade, which was their biggest event of the year. So when they did that, that's when we got interested. And like Anthony had alluded to, basically what it was that at the time, you drew, it was like cards inside of a tumbler. They picked out the name, and you had one person on one end and the other person in another locker room. And they got to meet and they had to work together one way or another. You didn't know who the pairings would have been. But there was some interesting partnerships. There was some interesting situations. That's what I think AEW wants to incorporate. They're going to incorporate a Battle Bowl type format, a Lethal Lottery type format. Now, will this work? Maybe. The unpredictability factor is definitely there. But, again, there's ways around where you could manipulate the teams to be together. It doesn't necessarily... Now, if it's completely 1,000% unpredictable, then that's great. But again, I think there's going to be some manipulation. AEW, I get where you're coming from, but I'm not as convinced as Anthony is or as Michael Bullock is. I think there's going to be some manipulations. You're going to have some teams that are going to be randoms, but there might be an established team or two there. Like I said, like Adriana and Nyla Rose. If they don't end up together, then what's the point? If the Nightmare Sisters are not together, or at least in the contents of it, then what's the point? I mean, two people to end up winning a tournament and for a trophy. And what would be the extra on top of that? There has to be more than what meets the eye. So that's why I'm really skeptical about this. It's just me being me. I'm not, I'm not. This is not the same view as Florio. This is not the same view of Michael Bullock. This is just my personal opinion. I'm a little more skeptical than the two of them right now, just openly. So, with that said, now we get into the main event of the evening, which was a tag team tornado match, and it was Darby Allin and AEW World Champion Jon Moxley. They went up against Ricky Stark and Brian Cage. When it was all said and done, Darby Allin and John Moxley wins the match in 8 minutes and 4 seconds. Anthony Florio, you lead off on the main event of the evening for AEW.
Yeah. There was also another segment on the show, the MJF State of the Address, but we're not going to get into that.
Nope.
Yeah, but we just want to make sure that fans
Yeah,
know.
thank goodness for that, because I would have said no comment.
Yeah, no comment indeed. Even though we did call out John Moxley for an AEW World Title match down the line. That's the only good thing that came out of that.
Please, he's not deserving of it.
I hate to say this, Bullock, but I disagree. He's undefeated, has not lost a singles match right now. I'm sorry, man. I disagree. Not only do I believe that he deserves an opportunity at the AEW World Title, I'm going to piss you off right now so bad.
I agree. He's going to win the belt.
I think you're looking at the next AEW World Heavyweight Champion in Maxwell Jacob Freeman MJF.
Oh,
I hate to say it, but I agree.
Oh my gosh. Tell me you guys did not just say that.
We did, Booker. Sorry, Booker.
Oh,
we did.
Man. If Bailey and Sasha Banks holding all the belts is bad enough for me,
especially with Sasha the Raw Women's title.
Still trying to get over that. AEW World Champion, I am going to lose my freaking mind, and not in a good way.
He's going to go Shamrock on us, folks. That's all there is to say on that. He's going to go.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to go Shamrock, and it is not going to be pretty.
I wonder if you're going to do that primal scream that Shamrock was known for.
Oh, I will. I will if that happens.
Oh, yeah, we definitely want to hear it when you do. Oh, my gosh. But I do want to address one other thing. Now, in case any of you out there may not know what that whole Battle Bowl thing was, it was a concept that was used in WCW, like MF said. It originated at the 1991 Starrcade, and Sting went on to win that Battle Bowl ring. And then again, the following year, Starrcade of 92, the Great Muta went on to win that Battle Bowl ring. And then they had their own pay-per-view event called Battle Bowl in 93. And the late, great man they call Vader, Big Van Vader, he went on to win the Battle Bowl ring in that event in 93. And then, of course, the most recent, it would not be used again until the Slamboree show in 96, which, of course, Diamond Dallas Page went on to win. A great concept. You can see all of that. If you have the WWE Network like the three of us do, you can relive that. You can relive those suckers anytime. So Starrcade 91, Starrcade 92, Battle Bowl 93, and Slamboree 96. You can relive the epicness that was the Battle Bowl, and that I think that's what's going to happen when it comes to this Women's Tag Cup. But getting to the main event here, I'm going to give it 3 stars. Another tag match on the night that felt somewhat underdeveloped and rushed for time. Like the others, it was a fun and energetic bout with the exclamation point of the skateboard spot with tacks on it to tie it all together. And did you see Ricky Stark's back? It was literally bleeding like a friggin' stuffed pig, for Christ's sake. Oh my gosh. But speaking of
rushed, a human pincushion.
Exactly. And speaking of rushed, booking Moxley versus Allen for the World Heavyweight Championship next week seems somewhat out of left field when it easily could have been saved for a show with a bit more build. Theirs is a match with wildly creative possibilities and an abundance of violence. Hot shining it as a setup for another storyline feels short-sighted, to say the least. But still, this was the perfect conclusion to a wild night of action, even if it feels as if there are a few more loose ends in need of tying up than is typical for this particular company. So I'm going to give it 3 stars for the effort. So nothing more to say. Bullock, John Moxley, Darby Allin, next week on Dynamite, World Heavyweight title on the line. What do you say?
Yeah, it's a rarity that we get an AEW World title match on Dynamite, but that's going to be the case next week. John Moxley and Darby Allin. that should be a fun match there, no doubt about it. As far as the main event goes, I agree it's a 3-star rating. Certainly a good way to close out the show. So there's nothing more to say for me. Fletch, it's yours.
3 star solid main event. Really nothing more to add, guys. So Michael Blake, why don't you go very quickly on your overall thoughts, and we'll set up for NXT.
I thought it was a good. I thought it was a good show. It wasn't great, but yeah, I mean, leads to some things that we're going to see for next week, especially highlighted by the AEW World Title match. So nothing more to say. Let's go.
Absolutely. I thought this was a solid show. I mean, not as good as the last few weeks have been. I think AEW took a step back here tonight. I thought they did all right. Again, I was a little more critical than than other people were, but I thought it was fine for what it was worth. So, Anthony, final thought.
Yeah, I'll tell you guys. I mean, the MJF segment. I mean, there are actually some that are calling it the highlight of the show. We disagree wholeheartedly, but it is what it is. All right. Anyways, it was all in all a solid effort from AEW, even if some matches suffered from minor miscommunication or lack of drama. But fine show for what it was. So definitely looking forward to next week. I mean, you got that world title match. You got Jericho and Orange Cassidy in a debate. Oh, that ought to be interesting. And a 12-man tag team matchup. I mean, 6 members of the Dark Order, including Brody Lee, against FTR, the Young Bucks, and Hangman and Omega. Oh my goodness, that 12-man is going to be something. And Cody's going to be teaming up with Matt Cardona against 2 other members of the Dark Order. So we got a loaded show next week. So that's all there is to say on that. NXT time, and we started off with a very energetic women's bout, tag team bout.
Yeah, we do. We jumped it off with Io Shirai, the NXT Women's Champion, and Tegan Knox. They went up against Dakota Kai and Candice LeRae, and it was Io Shirai and Tegan Knox getting the victory as Io Shirai got the winning pinfall on Candice LeRae at 12 minutes and 59 seconds. Very strong opener for NXT. A really good match. Great psychology. Great storytelling. This was easily 3 to 3.5 stars. Like I said, this was a red hot opener. I loved every minute of it. Anthony Florio, it's yours.
3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. Starting a show with physicality will always be welcome. Having Dakota Kai attack Io Shirai during her entrance set the tone for the rest of the bout. The wrestlers in the crowd were louder than usual as they cheered for the action in the ring. It was reminiscent of the kind of noise usually reserved for hockey due to the plexiglass barriers. All 4 women looked great in this match. They were energetic and on point with every move they hit. This bout would have been right at home at a takeover event. And we learned that later in the night, we learned of a big development in the women's division. A huge number 1 contenders match where Dakota Kai has laid down the challenge. She wants a shot at the women's title. Not so fast. The former champion, Bullock's favorite, Rhea Ripley, the Nightmare, and Mr. Regal made it official for next week. Rhea Ripley versus Dakota Kai, number 1 contenders match. And the winner of that will challenge Io Shirai for the NXT Women's Championship. I'm assuming that's probably very likely going to take place at TakeOver 30. So high stakes next week, but a great way to start it off. The women continue to deliver each and every week. That's why they are hands down the best women's division in all of professional wrestling. Better than the women of Monday Night Raw, better than the women of Friday Night SmackDown, better than the women of better than the Impact Knockouts and better than the women of AEW. So that's all there is to say on that. 3.5, 3 3/4 of a star. Nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, I mean, your women, they continue to kill it every week. And how about that contender match next week? Your favorite, Rhea Ripley. Can she get another shot at the belt? We'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely find out next week. But as far as this match goes, 3.5 to 3 3/4 of a star. I mean, certainly a really good way to start it off. I mean, this was physical all the way through it. I mean, like you said, starting with the attack from Dakota Kai on Io Shirai. So, and it was just really good from here on in. So, yeah, I mean, as far as next week, I mean, we already talked about it, but you know what? I'm actually going to go on a limb here, guys. I think we all know who's going to win this one. I think it's going to be Dakota Kai, but here's the thing. She's not going to do it alone. I think Raquel Gonzalez is going to get involved in this match here. That's just my personal take. Fletch, it's yours.
And I wouldn't be surprised. But there's also somebody else who I thought could also stick her nose where it doesn't belong, and we'll get into that too. All right. So next up we had was, well, this is Anthony Florio's personal favorite. This is a wrestling technical dream match. Johnny Gargano versus Roderick Strong one-on-one, and Johnny Wrestling takes down Roddy 9 minutes and 21 seconds. Anthony Florio, this is right down your wheelhouse. You must have really enjoyed this.
Yeah, absolutely. I enjoyed it. I mean, the first half of the match was a technical clinic. Both men are great on the mat, and this bout gave them a chance to show off their grappling skills. Once things got more physical after the commercial break, they slowly built up the pace to amp up the excitement at a reasonable rate. It seemed unlikely that WWE could follow up the women's tag match that opened the show with something just as good, but this performance was right there with it. For two guys who are registered villains, this match had almost no cheating from either competitor, which worked in its favor in the end. So I'm going to give this between 3.25 to 3.5 stars. I wish it could have been a little more, but as someone who developed a love of technical wrestling, mainly in large part because of the epic series of 5-star classics that was the Nature Boy Ric Flair and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, that's what got Bullock and I into technical wrestling, and this match was a prime example of that. So well done, guys. Very much enjoyed it. So 3.25, 3.5 stars. Man, Bullock, I mean, if this had gotten more time, perhaps this could have had the feel of a Flair Steamboat classic like we used to enjoy watching as children.
Oh, it definitely would have. No doubt about it. 3.25, 3.5. I mean, this was definitely a really good match here. I mean, I knew this was going to be really good once the match was announced by Mr. William Regal. So, yeah, I mean, this is a technical wrestling fan's dream when you see a match like this go down. And it certainly delivered. And like Florio said, I wish we could have gotten a little more time. And this could have been even much higher, but I enjoyed it for the amount of time that it did get. So I'm not going to complain about it. So there's really nothing more for me to say. Fletch, it's yours.
3.5 stars, no doubt about it. This was a great matchup, and you know, like I said, this is our technical wrestling dream, and I knew Anthony Florio was gonna wax poetic about it because he loves this kind of wrestling. This is his style. This is right up his alley. So nothing more to add. Next match of the night, it was Shotzi Blackheart going up against Mercedes Martinez. Yes, the Robert Stone experience in the house. Robert Stone and Aaliyah there. When it was all said and done, Mercedes Martinez wins the match in 4 minutes and 22 seconds. Michael Bullock, you get to lead off.
All right. I'll give this about maybe 1.5 stars. I mean, it was okay for what it was, but yeah, I mean, Mercedes Martinez, what can you say? I mean, she continues to impress, and she got a big win over a talented wrestler in Shotzi Blackheart. And yeah, I mean, Shotzi Blackheart had her fun with Aaliyah and Robert Stone, but now that Mercedes Martinez is part of the brand, I don't think she's going to be messing with the brand anymore now. So as much as I can't stand that goof Robert Stone. So yeah, there's really nothing more to say. I mean, Fletch. I mean, Mercedes Martinez continues to impress.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Mercedes Martinez looked so damn good with this performance here tonight, and the sky's now the limit for Mercedes Martinez and for Robert Stone. Look, you got to give credit where credit's due. He's got himself a blue chipper now. He's got himself a heavy. You know, you get the beautiful Lilia, where Anthony, I know you love the baby girl, but I know you say she's also green as grass, which is true. Okay, I'll give you that. But this is a really good pickup. And here's the other thing. He now has a mercenary that can go after anybody he sees fit. This is where I think he might get into the nightmare. He might try to get in. Remember, the only reason why Mercedes Martinez basically why Sachi Blackheart got fed to Mercedes was because, well, Sachi was picking a fight with Robert Stone, and with Robert Stone. Remember, Robert Stone was trying to acquire Rhea Ripley, and Rhea turned him down flat. He's got a mercenary now. What if he unleashes her on Rhea, costing her the right? And Anthony, that gives you your theory about Dakota Kai becoming the #1 contender. What if it's Rhea Ripley losing it because of Mercedes Martinez, not Raquel Gonzalez? Now Raquel would be one thing, Mercedes would be another too, because if Mercedes gets involved, you can do Mercedes Martinez versus Rhea Ripley. That would be a heck of a storyline to work with, because these are two bona fide monsters, and Rhea doesn't really care. I mean, what the heck? She fought Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania, so she's not afraid of anybody. That would be an interesting storyline. So 1.5 to 2. Anthony, go.
I'll give it 2 stars for the effort. It was a solid outing for both women, but it suffered from being a little too short. Martinez only had a few moments of offense, while Blackheart controlled most of the action. It would have been better to establish Martinez as more dangerous by giving her a more dominant victory, but management probably didn't want Shotzi Blackheart to look weak, so it's a tough call. Robert Stone and Aaliyah make a good combo, but Martinez, in my book, does not fit with their gimmicks yet. It will be interesting to see how their stable develops in the coming weeks. Adding 1 or 2 more folks might not be a bad idea. But yes, MF, I do have a love affair with Aaliyah. She is one of the most naturally beautiful women I have ever laid my eyes on. I mean, as much as I do not like Mercedes Martinez being with the Robert Stone brand, I mean, she's one of those. I always thought she would have been better off as being one of those independent badass women like a Rhea Ripley. But putting her with Stone, I mean, I really don't like that, honestly. I think she deserves a little better because Mercedes Martinez is a proven commodity. I mean, she was in the...
I think she's better off on her own.
I 100% agree, Bullock. I mean, she had that solid outing in the Mae Young Classic when she was in that. I think she made it to the Final Four of that one year. I mean, she was amazing in that tournament. She put forth great performances when I watched that religiously, and yeah, I mean, but at least, but the only good thing that came out of this was seeing Aaliyah, and yes, Aaliyah, stunning as usual. I mean, she'll never have a bad day. That's all I know. So, love Aaliyah. Cannot stand Robert Stone. Never liked him. Never liked him when he was in TNA. You already know my stand on that. So, really nothing more for me to say on this. Solid 2 stars. Second worst fight of the night. There was actually one match that was worse than this, with a tag team that I think is absolutely horrific and terrible. So, nothing more to say. MF, move on.
Well, unfortunately, we won't. Well, fortunately, we won't talk about it, but I do know where you're going. It was Everrise going up against Imperium. Imperium squashes them in 2 minutes and 16 seconds. I think that's what you were talking about. So.
Yeah, Everrise. Oh my God. Yeah. Anytime I see them on my TV, click. Goodbye.
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling that was going to happen. So, we go off to the main event. Well, no, we got one more before the main event. Isaiah Swerve Scott versus Jake Atlas. Isaiah Swerve Scott wins the match in 6 minutes and 24 seconds. Do you guys want to talk about this quickly, or do you want to just go right into the main event?
I gotta get into this. I mean,
all right,
because this is cruiserweight. 205 Live. That's my domain.
Yeah, this is your territory.
Fun sprint, very fun sprint. I got it. I mean, if it was a little longer, I would have given it a higher rating, but I'm going to give this 3 to 3.25 stars. Cruiserweight division never disappoints. Atlas and Scott produced a fun bout that saw both men hit several impressive maneuvers. This was harder to predict than the average bout, and that helped make it more fun as they ramped up the intensity toward the end. Swerve has been putting on awesome performances for months, and it looks like he will soon find himself in the hunt for Santos Escobar in the Cruiserweight Championship. Jake Atlas, I believe, will get there soon if he keeps giving us these kind of matches. No question about it. And before he came to NXT, I didn't really know much about Isaiah Swerve Scott, other than the fact that he was, at one time, the Major League Wrestling Fusion World Heavyweight Champion under the name of Shane Strickland. I mean, MF knows more about that than I do because he does watch the MLW Fusion. And I'm sure he remembers when Swerve was their champion. And very impressive. That's all I can say on that. And I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being, the first legitimate challenger for Santos Escobar and the Cruiserweight Championship. Don't be surprised if they give us that at TakeOver 30. Even though I still have this feeling about Drake Maverick. I think Escobar will get by Scott, but I ultimately see Drake Maverick dethroning Escobar as the Cruiserweight Champion, and it could end up being one of the best Cruiserweight matches in history if all goes well. So I'm going to give it a solid 3 to 3.25 stars. This coming from the Cruiserweight guys. So MF or Bullock, if either of you guys want to throw a thought in there, feel free.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was a 3 to 3.25 star match. I mean, in the amount of time it did get. So I think Florio basically touched on it. So Fletch, I mean, if you don't want to get into it, I say let's get to the main event of the evening.
No, it was a solid fight. I mean, so like you guys say, 3.25. I mean, it was a good matchup, a good little fun sprint. And now our main event of the evening is Finn Balor versus Dexter Lumis versus Timothy Thatcher. The winner becomes the second man in the North American Championship ladder match at NXT 30. And when it was all said and done, the winner of the bout in 12 minutes and 17 seconds, Dexter Lumis wins the match. He advances to the ladder match. He goes with Bronson Reed. And on top of that, the third match next week, you want to hear about a horse fight? Damian Priest, Oney Lorcan, and Ridge Holland in a triple threat. Okay. Alright, so let's talk about this. Dexter Lumis winning this, I'm a little surprised. I'm going to be real honest with you. I'm a little surprised that it's him. I honestly thought this was Balor. I really thought Finn was going to win this match. It was a good main event. 3.5 stars. I would say 3.5. And it was a solid main event. It was really good. I enjoyed it. And I'm a little shocked that it was Dexter Lumis. Even though Dexter's been really good lately, I honestly didn't think he was going to win this. And he did. So congratulations. Well done, my friend. Anthony Florio, it's all yours. Dexter Lumis has punched his ticket to NXT 30.
Yes, he did. And this is 50-50 for me. The good was the match. I loved the match. I didn't like the outcome, honestly, because you know me. You know who I wanted in this one, Timothy Thatcher, because you guys know how high I've been on Timothy Thatcher for the last couple of months now. I mean, I thought he was going to do it. I really thought my man, the Thinky Man's wrestler, was going to do it, but no, he didn't. But there was a small part of me that thought maybe Lumis was going to win it. I mean, you remember the caveat that Keith Lee laid down when he announced that he was relinquishing the North American Championship. Opportunities. And we got two guys in there who are getting opportunities, and the next three, because remember, there's going to be 5 of these guys all together, and it could be 5 guys that have never had, that legitimate opportunity to make a name for themselves. And we really didn't expect Bronson Reed to win either. I mean, you could have made a case for either Johnny Gargano or Roderick Strong. Maybe Johnny Gargano more. And in this match, obviously, Balor was the heavy favorite because of his experience. But no, Lumis got it, and I'll give this about 3.5 stars. Probably call it the second best fight of the night. I think the women's match was a little better. These are 3 completely different superstars with their own unique styles. So whenever someone different took over, the pace changed. Triple threat matches are usually exciting, but they can also be tricky, especially if you have 3 guys who haven't spent much time in the ring together. This was good, but it never got to the level we know these superstars are capable of reaching. It's hard to pinpoint what it was that held them back. Nothing about it was bad. It just fell a little short of what it could have been. At least the finish was unique. I mean, Thatcher had it, man. My man had it. He really did. I mean, he had Balor in that submission hold, and then Dexter Lumis brought in his submission hold. And unfortunately, and for the record, my man Timothy Thatcher did not tap out. He passed out from the pain. That's all there is to it. He did not tap out. So give my man credit for that. So that's all I can say here. I'll give this about another 3.25 to 3.5 stars. So nothing more to say. Michael Bullock, I mean, your North American Championship match for TakeOver 30. I mean, you got Bronson Reed, you got Dexter Lumis, and next week you can add either Damian Priest, Oney Lorcan, or Rich Holland to that. Finally, these guys that weren't really getting real opportunities are now finally getting real opportunities. I mean, it's almost like NXT is, channeling their inner SmackDown land of opportunity here.
Yeah, and it doesn't get any bigger than the NXT North American Championship. So, yeah, I agree. This was a 3.5 star match. I mean, a good main event here, and I'm with you guys. I mean, I didn't expect Dexter Lumis to win. I was thinking more like maybe Finn Balor or maybe even Timothy Thatcher, but they went with Dexter Lumis. So yeah, so far you got Dexter Lumis and Bronson Reed in the ladder match. So there's really nothing more to say. Fletch, it's yours.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, this was a 3.5 star match. This is no doubt about it. Great match to close the night. Anthony Florio, we're going to start with you on the final thought for NXT.
Yeah, NXT, I mean, they do it again. I mean, another great show here. Very good show. Now there weren't any quote unquote must see matches or angles, but everything moved along nicely and nothing was bad. Nothing but quality matches and some solid angle advancement. The women's tag, I think by a smidge, was the fight of the night. The main event was very good too, and you had some other good. You had a couple of other good things on here. You had two, and you had that solid cruiserweight match that was really good, and you only had a couple of bad matches. The Shotzi Blackheart, Mercedes Martinez, which was, just for me, like Randy Jackson would always say on Idol, and far and away the worst fight of the night was Ever Rise. But then again, anytime I see those ham and eggers, like Cody Boynes would say, bye-bye. That's all there is to say on that, because I am not a fan of those two. Those guys suck. They're green as grass. Let's not kid ourselves. So that's why I do that. But anyways, loaded show next week. I mean, you got that Grimes, Lorcan, and Holland 3-way to determine the next entrant into the North American ladder match for 30. You got the big contender match with Rhea Ripley and Dakota Kai. And how about this? Fish and O'Reilly of the Undisputed Era, they're going to challenge Imperium for the NXT tag titles. We got some good stuff next week. So that's all there is to say on that. So Michael Bullock, another loaded week for your black and gold brand next week.
Yeah, the black and gold brand ruled again this week, and they put on another good show. I think they once again beat out AEW, and definitely next week with a really good loaded card, and who knows, it could be another good show. So there's really nothing more to say. Fletch, it's yours.
Total agreement with what you just said, and you guys pretty much got everything there. So we're just gonna call it a night and say that we're done. So tomorrow night, guys, at 10 p.m. Eastern or 10:30, it's going to be a very special edition of Strictly Sports. We're going to be previewing the Stanley Cup qualifying and the round robin tournaments that's going to be going down this week. You've seen a lot of the games already that's been going down. Few games been going on in the last couple of days. Hockey is definitely back, and they're at full blast, man. I'm so excited. It's been really good lately. And they're gonna play for real on Saturday. So we're gonna have that, and then of course we will indeed be back on Friday for another edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk. Forgive me, guys, I got a little something in the throat. And so that's it, guys. So for Anthony Floyo, for Michael Bullock, I'm Michael Fletcher. Thank you so much for watching or listening. Like the video, leave a comment at the bottom, share with all your friends on all the social media platforms. And until then, so long, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow night.